So the exercise I'm going to show you has 4 or 5 different progressions, and it's my favorite exercise for building core strength. Now, before I show you this exercise, there's a couple of things you need to understand about body positions, but it won't take more than a minute for me to show you. And the first one is thoracic flexion. So thoracic flexion is this position where I'm kind of coming into a crunch. I'm leaning forward, my shoulders are coming forward, I'm bending at the waist, and it's basically like doing a sit-up. So that's number 1, that is thoracic flexion. The second body position you need to understand is a little more complex. It's called posterior pelvic tilt. Posterior pelvic tilt is the action of squeezing your butt as hard as you can, sucking up your pelvic floor like you're trying to prevent yourself from peeing. At the same time, you want to scoop your hips, rotating them down and underneath. Think about it like your hips are a bowl full of water. And if you tip your hips towards the back, towards the posterior, the water is going to spill out the back. That's what we call posterior pelvic tilt, and it's very important for the hollow. Okay, you got those 2 movements? Pause the video real quick, practice a couple of times if you haven't already, and then jump down on the floor with me and we'll start demonstrating this hollow. So what's really important for the hollow is for the whole time that we're keeping that thoracic flexion and the posterior pelvic tilt. And the best way to be able to tell if you're doing that is, can you feel your lumbar spine flat on the ground? Or when I'm coaching people, I'm looking for daylight underneath their lower back. If I can see daylight, I know you're not doing the move correctly. You need to rest and then come back into another set, holding your lower back flat for as long as you can. So now you can have a look and test me to see if I'm doing it properly. Okay, so we're zoomed in here and you can see my core and my hips. Now, what we don't want to see is that light peeking out underneath my lower back there. We want to keep that pressed down the whole time when we're in the hollow. So we want to be rounding the back, engaging the abs, and we want to be in this crunch position when we're in the hollow. So when we come into the hollow, we want that lumbar spine flat on the ground, and we're going to have our shoulder blades off the ground, and this is our first position. So my hands here are just resting. I'm going to reach forward because that helps pull the shoulder blades off the ground. If I start to feel a bit of shoulder blade, I know that I'm being lazy and I need to pull back up. When you're holding this position, your body's not going to like it, and 2 things are going to happen. Your shoulder blades are going to want to come down on the ground, and so are your feet. So they're the 2 things that you have to avoid. We need to also make sure that our knees aren't going to creep up towards our core and our shoulders, because this is super easy to hold, it's not a hollow. This is a hollow. Okay, once you've mastered that first bent knee progression, then we're going to go into extending one leg. So it looks like this. Maintaining that same position, we go from here to here. So we're keeping one leg extended and we're holding the position. The next progression from that is going into a straddle, but a bent knee straddle. So that looks like this. We're going to widen the knees a little bit, still keeping that same position. We're going to go as wide as you can, bent knees. And what I usually do in this position is I just have my hands hovering over my groin. Next progression, where it starts to get a little bit more serious, is we go into a straight leg straddle. So it looks like this. So straight legs as wide as you can, and this is where I'm comfortable keeping my hands. Shoulder blades staying off the ground. If you can do the straight leg straddle and you're comfortable with that, then we can move on to the next progression, which is a straight leg hollow. This is a straight leg hollow, making sure that I've got my lumbar spine flat on the ground, knees locked out, toes pointed, and I'm holding that straight leg hollow. Now, if you're doing this correctly, you're going to feel way more than your core. In fact, you're pretty much going to feel every weakness within your torso. You'll feel your obliques, you'll feel your lats. The whole midsection is going to be lighting up, trying to support you holding this movement. And that's why it's such a good move for core strength, because core strength is not just about abs, it's everything from waist to shoulders. That's all for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the summit.